All right, we're here with Treasurer John Schroeder, and you've been kind of touring the state so far today, talking about everything that's going on. We're about a week away from the beginning of the next legislative session. What's going on with that? I know you guys have filed some bills, and I know there's another reason you're here, and we'll get to that in a second.
Well, we're pushing some legislation that creates a trust fund and protects the unclaimed property money that comes into the state every year from being spent in the general fund. What this legislation would actually do is put it in a trust fund. It would allow the Treasury to still pay money to the owners, but wouldn't allow the balance to be spent in the general fund. And then we have another bill that would create a support fund where we would put money into a infrastructure revolving loan program where municipalities around the state could borrow money at a very low interest for small infrastructure projects.
Now, this is a big deal specific to Ouachita Parish and those surrounding smaller municipalities because there's about $18 million worth of unclaimed money. Where does that come from?
Yeah, that's just in Ouachita Parish. There's like 32 million, what I call the Metro Monroe area. It comes from a lot of different ways, deposits, royalties, and it's important to understand that this is lost money. It's not real estate, it's lost money that these companies lose track of you, lose your address, and then the law requires that this gets turned over to the state of Louisiana. It's the job of the Treasury to return this money to its rightful owner.
Now, that $18 million, that's Ouachita specific, does that mean that it's no longer up for grabs? Like if I have a stake and claim in this money, can I still figure out if any of that $18 million is mine?
Yes, very easily. You just go to latreasury.com, click on unclaimed property, and just punch your name in there. And you can do your name or your family's name. It will tell you whether it's over or below $100. If it's over $100, it could be, who knows the amount. If it's under 100, it'll tell you that. And you just follow those directions and it'll walk you through it. And
that includes the process in getting that money?
Yes, it's very easy. We have reduced some red tape. I mean, the output has increased by 500%, and we've driven the cost down. We sent out over 44,000 checks last Friday alone.
Then there's absolutely no reason for people not to go and see if there's money in there. Tell them that website again.
It's latreasury.com. Click on unclaimed property and just punch in your number, or I'm sorry, your name. But the thing to understand is we get this money every year. Every October, November, companies go through their inventory and they send this lost money to the state. So even though you may not have some today, next year you may.
Now you're talking about how this money is going to be spent in the general fund if it's not been claimed. And we talked about those bills. We started off talking about those bills.
Yes.
Those are aimed at keeping that from happening.
Yes, because currently what happens, whatever doesn't get returned to you, the owner, the state basically borrows that money and spends it. What I'm suggesting we do is let's create a savings account. The money will still be there to be claimed, but we can create a dividend. You know, in Louisiana, you know, we like to use the word called lagniappe. This is lagniappe dollars that we can use, and really everybody has infrastructure problems, and the smaller municipalities have even worse problems. So this would be a good way for them to finance small projects.
And a lot of those smaller municipalities are not covered by big budget spending, such as that outlay funding.
Yeah, that's called that capital outlay program. It's very hard, it's very politically difficult to get into it. And it's the small outlying communities that suffer the most because they don't have that political clout to get into the system. So this is really geared towards that, and there's big needs around the state.
And we have a lot of villages and towns out here, so I imagine they fall underneath that umbrella.
Yeah, and as an example, you may need, you know, $1 billion for a bridge over the Mississippi River in Baton Rouge, whereas some small town or village might only need $18,000 to borrow to buy a used backhoe. So that's what it's designed to. It's certainly not going to fix all our infrastructure problems, but it would be a good pot of money that we really shouldn't be spending to begin with. So we save the money for the people who it belongs to. create a savings plan, and then use the dividend on these small projects. I mean, I personally think it's a great idea.
All right, Treasurer Schroeder, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
your time and stopping by today.
Thank you.